This is the Job Stories Podcast, how people find work that matters. We'll go ahead and get started. If you don't mind, just introduce yourself and what is your job now? What are you up to work-wise?
Yeah, my name's Jake Miller. I launched the Engineered Innovation Group back in November of last year. I've been in technology for about 18 years now, primarily product companies and software as a service. And I absolutely love it. I've loved building things from the ground up. I started as a software engineer, went through a company in Indianapolis called ExactTarget. We were purchased by Salesforce. I ran the marketing automation engineering teams there. Then I co-founded another software company based here out of Indianapolis. And then this company, Engineered Innovation Group, like I said, and our real mission, it's pretty simple: to help other companies create new and what we call meaningfully useful products. A lot of that really is we help take their concepts and bring them to life through MVP development with startups. Other times it looks like we're helping companies figure out how would you actually commercialize an idea. So that's what we do, what I'm up to.
Yeah, amazing. And how long ago did you start Engineered Innovation Group? It's been fairly new, correct? Am I correct?
Yeah, it's pretty new. So we didn't start operating until December of last year.
Cool.
And then we had our first full-time employee hired other than myself in late April. So we're now 12 employees strong. Things are going really well. We've got some amazing projects happening right now and busier than ever. Just before this, we were talking about how time seems to just like all mash together.
Totally. Yeah, totally. And congrats on all that. I was asking because for this podcast, we found it's kind of twofold. Obviously, we do recruiting, so we do have a bit of a candidate audience that we find on LinkedIn and stuff through this podcast, but also this entrepreneur aspect, because we have a lot of founders and CEOs such as yourself. How did that bug, to touch on it a little bit more, you talked about your story briefly up to this point, but how did that entrepreneur bug actually, it could be anything. Did you have mentors? I mean, how did it happen? Like, how did you get to, because it's risky. How'd you get there?
It is very risky. I've always, even going back to when I was a little kid, knew I wanted to own businesses or be an entrepreneur. I didn't know what an entrepreneur was at the time.
Yeah.
But that's just sort of been like calculated risk taker sort of thing. And I think when you are in the entrepreneur space, you have to have a little bit of that crazy, maybe if you want to call it that way, where it's like, okay, I'm going to take that leap of faith and see what happens. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. For this company in particular, I had done startups earlier on in my career. They didn't do so great. I worked in healthcare, so a bigger enterprise type of company. I worked for Salesforce, so massive, huge software as a service company. Then co-founded this recent company called MetaCX. And that was just because I got to work greenfield. So it was new tech. And my role there is co-founder of also CTO. So I'm responsible for all of the engineering aspects of that product and platform, which has really been my career. I've been mostly a software engineer or managing engineering teams. And we really got to the point with that company where the platform was solid. And we were sort of going into this type of, not maintenance mode, it's not really the right way to say it, but all the hardcore engineering innovation, we weren't doing as much of that. And so I wanted to go do something from the ground up. And I thought, maybe I'll just go do some fractional CTO work. And I said, you know what? Think bigger. If you could do anything you wanted to do, what would it be? And it was, I'm gonna go help other people do that from the ground up. So let's see what that looks like.
I love that. I love that, just that thinking through. We've had somebody mention it briefly and I'd forgotten about it, but let's actually write down and think about what's a dream, right? Like what's a dream. So I love that. I'm curious too, managing teams. You've managed a lot of teams, it sounds like, especially as a CTO and things like that. I don't want to lead the witness here too much, but we do have a lot of folks like yourself, like CTOs and things like that, they do tend to lean in when they're hiring on more things that are outside of their technical abilities, like cultural, soft skills, empathy, anything like that. Do you mind to talk a little bit about those types of things that matter to you as it relates to Engineered Innovation Group culturally or whatever?
Yeah, absolutely. This is something else other than thinking about like what would I want to do functionally. It was also what does the and as cliche as it might sound, like what does the culture look like? I knew I wanted to be very deliberate, and it wasn't just it wasn't just what do I want the company to look like. I actually did a whole lot of self reflection. I think a lot of people did that during through the pandemic, and even after the pandemic, like what do I really want out of life, as melodramatic as that might be. And there are some things that I wrote down that really matter, and I think there are probably a couple I would mention, and these are things I look for in every single hire in our company, whether they're an engineer or an admin or sales team. The first is what we call creative or I'm sorry, measured creativity. Gosh, I'll get it out here eventually. Measured creativity. And the idea is, we want to be divergent thinkers, especially in the space where you're creating new things. You want to be able to say, I know you said you want that button there, but what if? And not be afraid to say, what if? And go outside the box and ask those crazy questions that some people might think stupid. You can't be afraid to do that. So you have to have a culture that has a psychological safety. But at the same time, you have to measure about that creativity because you have to deliver at the end of the day. And so that's something I find very important. The second that I'll mention, I go back to this literally every day, and it's abundance, which is kind of an interesting core value. That's like, okay, is abundance actually a value? Yeah, I think it is. And what I mean by that is there's lots of competition out there. There are a lot of people with great ideas. There are a lot of people out there that are better at everything than I am or you are. And that's okay, because at the end of the day, there's so much opportunity out there, and we have the opportunity to create our own opportunity. And I believe that so much. And as an entrepreneur, you go through these peaks and valleys, and every time I hit that valley, I take a breath and I remember abundance. It's sort of a mantra. And it's like, okay, we're good. It's going to be fun.
Great. Yeah, that's so great. And again, I think it touches on kind of, like I said, I was leaning a little bit, but like those definitely affect technical skills, right? But it's not, you're not actually talking about, hey, I need you to show me your Python skills right now, right? Like it's almost like, obviously in some instances, you're going to want that as a little bit of a prerequisite. But like when you're coming down to hiring people, like, do they fit your culture? And that's I love hearing that. Where did that come from for you? Was it mentorship, or was it past jobs where I'm not calling anyone out by any means, but there are times in life where you figure out what you don't want, and that helps you figure out what you do want. Maybe that's the case for you in your path.
Yeah, I think it very much is just career experience. Absolutely. I would say career experience. I definitely have a couple mentors too that have influenced that for sure. What they probably influenced more is the sitting down and thinking about what I want versus the very specifics, because I think those are things that really come from inside. But yes, being encouraged to sit and think about it. But yeah, those particular values came out of just my own personal experiences throughout my career at various companies. And I would say it was over 18 years that developed. That wasn't something where I just sat down and I said, well, how did I feel the last 6 months? It was, okay, let's just take a survey from here to there. And that's what came out.
Love it. I think that's excellent stuff for candidates. Switching back to maybe our entrepreneurial hats. Maybe I'm asking for myself. So, but I'm always trying to figure out, being a co-founder, to like navigating highs and lows, right? Yeah. Like lows, not taking them too personally, maybe, and then highs, like, okay, like we're along for the ride. You know what I mean? So do you have, is that something you relate with at all? And how do you do it? If you have any advice for me personally?
Oh, 1,000%. And it's funny. I do this thing where I try and meet one new person every day. I've done it since November 15th of last year. Every business day, new person. Doesn't matter, is it someone that has similar interests? Is it possibly a new employee? Is it a prospect? It doesn't matter who it is. It's just, I'm super interested in meeting new people and networking. Where I'm going with that is, yesterday I met with a gentleman who lives in Chicago, and there was really no point to the conversation except networking. It's like, hey, what do you do? What do I do? We're connected through a local tech company. And he asked me to explain the company, and he goes, man, like, I can tell you're getting a dopamine kick right now just talking about it. And that's exactly what it is, right? Yeah. It is the excitement when you are, and hopefully you have that excitement. Maybe if you're not, maybe you should reconsider, but the excitement about what you're doing, what you're creating can come out. But then you juxtapose that to those times when anxiety creeps in, uncertainty creeps in. And I'll tell you, I mean, I just talk about it, but the one thing that keeps me sane is remembering, take a breath. It's going to pass. Abundance.
That's so good. I love that so much. I've got to ask though. So meeting one new person every day.
It's a lot.
I love that. So was that like an intentional kind of thing? You said, I didn't remember when you said you started it, but so you've met a new person every day since when?
November 15th of last year. And I remember because that was my last day at my prior company. And it was a very intentional thing. And honestly, it came out of anxiety of what I was doing. I've got to make sure I'm telling people, what am I doing? What am I up to? Network. And then that turned into less about my own anxieties, more about just pure curiosity. In fact, that's actually another one of my core values and our company core values is insatiable curiosity. It doesn't have to be related to something like very acute or something that I'm focusing on at this moment. You know, one of my hobbies is I subscribe to a site where you can access academic papers, and I'll just read random things. Yeah. So like it's just like being driven to find out about new things because there's analogous learning. You can apply something you learned from one domain to another, and I think that's sort of a secret sauce to creativity. But networking is another aspect to that.
You remind me of a story. I'd forgotten about this until you said this, and this is going to tie back to the abundance thing. I love it. I'm stealing that if you're okay with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's so great. But my buddy from college, Amir Johnson. Shout out to Amir if he's out there somewhere. He'll hear this. He's a phenomenal music producer. Great keyboard player. But he and I were hanging out one day. This was back in Los Angeles, and he told me, I was like, "What were you up to today, man?" He said he hopped in an Uber and took it nowhere, but he just got in it to meet the driver and then just kept doing it. I was like, you did what? Like, it was so it was bizarre to me. And then as I talked to him, I was like, it's brilliant. Cause like you said, like this is back to abundance, I think, cause this is in life, we need each other, right? We need each other. And that was kind of his way. Like I'm going to meet new people and hear their story.
Yeah. So you'll never know how someone's going to inspire you. Or how you might inspire them. I mean, it goes both ways.
And that's huge to hear from you as a founder, because if I'm being vulnerable for a second, it's real easy, I think, for us founders probably to think, how can I build this empire for us, right? For me. For me. So is that kind of your way to kind of let's get like this business maybe is bigger than myself. How do I get out and like, I know it's used a lot, but like kind of change the world or help my community or whatever. Is that maybe, am I along the same lines of kind of how you're thinking there?
I think so. Everyone has different motivators, and always, financial motivators are always there. I mean, let's face it, we live in a capitalistic society.
Totally.
But if you ask me, like, what is my number one goal personally right now with this company it's to grow it into something that other people can participate in. Like, that is my driver. And I'll tell you, like, every time we add a new employee, every time we deliver a project, like that to me is just so fulfilling. So I don't know. I don't know where I was going with that.
It's that collaboration. So like building something that other people can be a part of. That's
exactly.
And to be seen and to be heard. Like I see so many deeper like ramifications of that, right? Of collaboration. It's funny because we were just talking about this, but John Bass, who's been on the podcast before, he talked about for healthcare. He's like, there's major problems in healthcare, and we can't solve them if we don't collaborate. And that's your mantra too. It sounds like,
that's exactly right.
Yeah. And you do that by meeting a new person every day.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's so good.
This gets kind of meta, which is kind of funny because it came from Meta CX, but, and I'm borrowing a little bit of this from Scott McCorkle, the CEO there, but we where I was going with this now. What were we just talking
collaboration.
Oh,
Like
collaboration.
this kind of idea of, we can't solve big problems without
solving big problems, right? Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
So where I'm going with this is, this is meta because so much of what we do is like a reflection of our environment. And what I mean by that is in tech, especially, if you think about how software is set up, it's all siloed. And it's all siloed because that was just how technology worked. And I think that's why we see this huge push for what people are calling Web3, because it's flipping the way the internet and technology actually works on its head and saying, no, it's more about connection and individual ownership versus putting things into silos. So I think there's like this like beautiful metaphor there between the technology that we use and how we interact with people and how the world's kind of evolving. Getting really deep there, but
I love it. You and I may have to get a series of podcasts going, because this is I love it. Yeah. So y'all dip in Web3 a little bit too. Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, we do. We call ourselves an innovation group, not a dev shop, on purpose, because we don't focus just on the development. And anyone that's interested, we could go, talk about that sometime, the deeper parts of that. But yeah, we focus on different industries: healthcare, IoT, Web3, software as a service, marketing. We serve a lot of different industries.
Cool. I'm curious too. This could be an answer. Think about it personally or professionally, whatever you're comfortable with. What are you excited about moving forward? Like what's kind of think for a second about what's getting you excited. What's getting Jake Miller pumped for the future? It could be Engineered Innovation Group, truthfully.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is what it is not just the company, but it's the growth and the impact that we can have. I was interviewing possible candidates for positions, and I tell them some of the things we're working on, and my mind is blown. I'm like, holy crap! Like, pinch myself. Are we actually working on a project that affects CO2 emissions in livestock? Like, what the heck is going on here? Like, yes. Yeah, we are, and just more of that, and that's what gets me excited.
Yeah, I'll answer for myself too. It's not fair that I'm always asking guests this and putting them on the spot.
I'm curious.
Yeah, I was just thinking about this while you were talking earlier, but because we were talking about like actually celebrating wins and like handling on losses too or whatever. But yeah, we had someone the other day that reached out because this was on the candidate side. The way I understood it, it was a candidate that had worked with us. I don't believe that we placed them, but they had gotten to know our team. And then they referred their friend over and said, hey, I know you're looking for work. I really enjoyed them. And I thought that was so cool that our team, and that's Carly, who you know, and then a couple others, Colin and Curtis, they've been so great at getting to know people on a personal level. Because honestly, I being honest, like in recruiting, it can be real transactional. And so we talk about let's get to know these people. Let's get to know them, let's be friends with them, because that's who we are. We love them, right? We want to be a part of their story. And it kind of came full circle. So I'm excited for more stories like that, because that's been fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like we're seeing more of that personal connection. There's a hypothesis maybe that coming out of the pandemic where, we were so isolated to an extent, and we're thinking about those connections more versus, especially recruiting, like running against an algorithm and matching, keyword searching and yada, yada. It's just, that works for some, I suppose, but I really appreciate that personal connection method. Obviously I'm meeting with someone new every day, so I appreciate that human connection, but it matters. It really, really does. It's so much more fulfilling if you know that, more, someone has 2 kids, or that they have a pet that, has 1 leg. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like those things that you just wouldn't know, it's not transactional.
It's funny you say that about the pets, because that was me and my wife. They've passed away now. It's been about a year or so, but we had 2 dogs, and both of them had gotten really old. And between the 2 of them, they had 4 working legs.
So I'm not too far off.
Okay. That's the first time I've shared that on the podcast.
That's probably the most bizarre thing anyone's ever said on a podcast, but hey, that's me.
They were struggling, man. As my one of my best friends said, they were Kiefer struggling. It was tough. Well, Jake, I appreciate you. So to close us out, do you mind to share, like, if anyone that hears this can get in touch with you about you personally, your Engineered Innovation Group, anything, like, how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, the easiest way would be go to engineeredinnovationgroup.com. Or you can email me directly, jake@engineeredinnovation.com. It's the world's longest domain name.
It's a few letters, huh?
But you can remember it, right?
That's right.
Engineeredinnovationgroup.com.
That's right.
But yeah, if you want to be one of those people I meet once a day, hit me up.
I love that so much. That's so great. Thanks for being on, and thanks for sharing. Y'all are doing some cool stuff. So I'm excited to know you and keep this relationship going for the future. So
yeah, likewise. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And offline, let's touch base about, stuff we've already talked about. So we'll connect more about Nashville stuff and all that.
Yeah,
so,
awesome. Yeah, that sounds good.
Cool. Thanks, Jake. You have a great day. Appreciate you.
You too. Thanks, Ken. Yeah.
See ya. Bye.